Okay, so I'm going to continue talking about these goddesses a little bit, and we'll go in a little bit of detail about these guys. And I want to mention, I especially want to talk about Tara. Again, these are sort of, you can think of these goddesses as kind of flavors of Kali, if you will. Okay, these dark goddesses, and again, the iconography is very clear here. You have in this case, this is Tara, and Tara is very important because Tara becomes very important when we get to Tibetan Buddhism. She is one of the great female goddesses of Tibetan Buddhism, again derived from Hinduism. But when she gets to Tibetan Buddhism, she gets a little bit of a makeover, okay? And she's really her own person. She's no longer sort of the consort of Shiva anymore, becomes her own person. Now you see here the interesting iconography here. She's got a sword here. She's got a cut off head. Now what do you think that means? Does that mean she likes to go around and cut off people's heads and she's some violent, like Halloween kind of, character? No. The head represents the ego, individualism, me over everybody else, and the sword represents cutting that off, cutting off the ego, okay? Cutting off the ignorance that the ego and the self-centered viewpoint brings. Okay? And she's got lots of weapons for this. Tara is very known because she has scissors. Okay, you think scissors are a modern invention? No, they're not. They were around for a long time. At least they look like scissors to me. I was told they were scissors. And again, this is for cutting off things here. Cutting off ignorance, this kind of things. Lotus flower of purity. Again, a garland of heads. Here again for cutting off egoism. Garland of hands. I don't know what that one's for. My guess is the garland of hands is maybe cutting off grasping at things, grasping for things in the world. I don't know. That's my guess. And she's standing on a pair here. If you could see this picture closely, you will see this pair is basically engaged in doing very naughty things. I'll put that nicely. Okay. So it's a somewhat a graphic picture here. Again, that's why you have the warning in the syllabus, trigger warning things, right? That's why you have warning in the syllabus. Sexual imagery here. This is very, there's no ambiguity in what they're doing in the picture there, right? But again, this is what I was saying at the temple, that you have these depictions of sex, these kinds of things, these erotic depictions. These are not taken in the Hindu context to be, sort of prurient, sort of pornography. What these are taken as symbolic. Okay, so we'll talk about the symbolism of this. Very important. But again, what you see here is Shiva is lying on the bottom, and he is passive. The guys are passive. The women do all the work, and that's even sort of true in the sexual position here, right? And the women are doing the work. The guys just lying there, right? But again, this is the active component of Shakti, of this feminine energy, right? It's active, right? It's the women who get things done, women who make things happen, okay? Very important here. So again, this is an interesting picture. She's got the snake going in and out of her mouth. I'm not sure what that one means yet. The snakes are usually a sign of Shiva. See the cobras, it's usually Shiva, and the cobras sometimes the hood of the cobra goes over the top of Shiva, and they're protecting symbol. Okay, and cobras and snakes are very interesting. In India, you have these so-called mythical people called the Nagas, and they're a little bit like, anybody here Irish? Irish here, a little like leprechauns. They're kind of these people that live underground and they come out and they do things, and they can be really good. They can do good things for you, or they can totally be trickster archetypes, and they can screw you up and do bad things to you. And those Naga are like snake people. Okay, they're generally considered to be very good. The snakes in India are very good, even though they're cobras, because they're eating all the rats and stuff. So people have this very interesting relationship with snakes in India. Yes?
Were the people who originally were looking at these, were they literate?
That's a very good question. Probably not. The only people who were literate were the Brahmins. So again, what you see in this iconography, that's a very good question, because what you see in this iconography is that Freudian concept we talked about, condensation. Okay, this could be in your test, by the way. Condensation, where you have many meanings packed into very few symbols, right? You condense down the meanings into the symbols. And so if you have a population that is largely illiterate, or there's not, they might be literate, but there's not stuff for them to read, you can depict the ideas and the concepts visually. And so we're going to see that over and over and over and over again. And this would be a good example of that, right? So you're not teaching this in words, you're just showing this and you're explaining it. You know, or maybe you're not, maybe people just contemplate on this and then the meaning they get is an intuitive meaning. Yes?
Just in this context, what is sexual, the way you described it, why is intercourse considered naughty, or is that just your impression?
It's not considered, no, I think I got the wrong thing.
I didn't want you to
For a Hindu, this is not considered to be a naughty picture. Okay? This is considered to be a depiction of symbolic depiction of energy, the energy of the male and female energy. And I'll talk about that in just a second. I'll show you another picture, more graphic than this one. But I like this picture. I think this is kind of cool. So here's the other one I wanted to show you. This is also another version, goddess Chinnamasta, another version of Kali. And again, you know, you see the same kind of iconography here. You see the couple, copulating couple on the bottom, and again, there's leaving nothing to the imagination here. And you see the naked goddess, right? Naked goddess. Anybody do yoga? Do yoga? You've done goddess pose in yoga, right? This is goddess pose in yoga. Okay? This is the original meaning depiction. It's not just you're opening your joints up and thing, but you're actually displaying, opening up this feminine energy to the universe, right? You are manifesting this female energy, Shakti. Now, there's a good interesting story about this, and it goes like this. I like this story. Those of you who are parents may be able to relate to this somewhat. Chinnamasta is hanging out one day, and she's taking a bath or something, and she is, like people do, because they're human beings, they become sexually aroused, and so how should we put this nicely? She is basically by herself and deciding to take care of business. That's a nice way to say it, right? Yes?
Are you talking about masturbating?
Yes. Yes, I was trying to be nice about it, but yes, if you want to be blunt about it, yes. So she is, yeah, we'll just say taking care of business. And again, you see this in this dark color here. This represents her sexual passion. Okay? And so she's doing, and basically her two attendants come, here, these two, here, and they come and they say, you know, basically knock on the door, you know, oh great mother, we're hungry, feed us. And Chinnamasta's like, well, yeah, I'll get to that, you know, just give me a few minutes, you know, I'm in the middle of something. And they're like, no, great mother, you must feed us, we're hungry, we're your children, you must take care of us. And she's like, okay, you know, mommy needs a little me time, you know, just come back in 15 minutes. No, we're hungry, we're your children, you're the great mother of the universe. You know, it's your duty and job to take care of, feed your children, take care of us. And she's like, okay. And so what she does is she cuts off her own head, and the bloodstream comes out of her neck and goes into their mouths and feeds them. And that's the story. So what do you think this means? I mean, besides, if you're a parent, you know your kids interrupt you all the time, right? At the most inopportune times. But what does this mean? What's going on here? Well, what she's doing is manifesting. Well, she has scissors too, see? She's got some scissors here. What she's doing is she's manifesting compassion. All beings are her children, and she's manifesting compassion. And the idea here is that cutting off the head, cutting off the ego, is what you need to do in order to manifest compassion. Okay? Yes?
I think it's cool that she's also feeding herself.
Yeah, and she's feeding herself because, of course, you're compassionate to others. We know now, we actually have research on this, that it's actually good for you. That one thing you could do for yourself is to be nice to others, to be kind and compassionate to other people. Actually good for you. So she's feeding herself. Now, copulating couple under here, this is sexual energy. This is how you raise the sexual energy up, okay? This is how you get it going. And then what you do is then you can then channel it toward spiritual goals, such as being compassionate for other people. Okay? So that's the idea here. This is also a representation of the chakra system, right? Lower chakras here, you move the energy up to the head chakra, and then, you know, you get, head blows up, you get enlightened. But that enlightenment manifests as compassion. So this is also something we're going to see in Buddhism, a similar idea here. So this is one of my favorite symbols. I just think this is great. Also, you notice here, let's go back to the second lecture, in our Freudian themes. What are we seeing in this image? Think Freudian for a second. What are we seeing here?
Eros?
Eros and Thanatos. Remember I said they're ambivalent? Batgirl spanking Supergirl, right? Supergirl spanking Batgirl, whichever way it is. They come together. So the violent and the erotic are intermixed. Okay? In human energy, these things are both motivating forces in the human world. Okay? And so the idea is to be able to take those energies and channel them into something that is spiritually relevant, such as compassion, okay? Such as being kind to others. And I think it's a good thing to say now. I mean, you know, you guys have been seeing what's been going on in the world. And, you know, the world is, you know, I mean, really screwed up place right now. Sure, it's been screwed up place in the past as well. I mean, it seems like it kind of comes and goes. But, you know, the world of samsara is a really screwed up place. And what is one thing that we could, you know, do to make the world better? Well, start with ourselves. And the one thing that we can do as individuals is to try to be kind to other people, right? And this is true in other religions too. It's not just Hinduism or Buddhism or Eastern religions. And it's also true for Christians, right? What do they say in Christianity? Do unto others as you'd have others do unto you, the golden rule. Well, this applies, you know, everywhere in the world, right? Anywhere you have human beings. And so this is, I like this image because it reminds us that, you know, the one thing that we can do as individuals, we can use our energy, because we are all motivated by sex and aggression, right? By Eros and Thanatos. We can channel those energies into trying to be kind and compassionate to others. Okay, and doing so also be kind and compassionate to ourselves. And you guys have been watching all the Las Vegas shooting stuff and this horrible stuff, right? But the thing is that, you know, they've been showing on the news lately is all these first responders and people out there trying to help people. And so you can see even in the worst times, the worst of tragedies, you see the good part of people, you know, the people, you know, helping each other, being selfless and helping each other, right? And so again, if we can manifest that sort of thing all the time, when there isn't a shooting, when there isn't a tragedy, if we can manifest that all the time, then perhaps we can have a better world, right? Even though we don't agree with each other politically and, you know, we've got all sorts of differences and everything, if we can just agree on the one thing, that it's good to help others, it's good to be compassionate to others, then we'll have a better world, right? Regardless of anything else you believe. So I like to think that this image reminds me of that. So again, I have to share that with you guys. Okay. Also notice here, these are lotus flowers here blooming in the mud. So all the muck and the crap going on in the world, the lotus flower is able to come up through that and bloom in this purity, you know, rising above all the muck and the, you know, the crappy stuff going on in the world, to still have that spiritual purity arise out of that, right? So again, this gives us hope. This idea gives us some hope. Okay, that's all I want to say about that.